I knew this feeling, even though I've never felt it before. In fact, I've never felt anything before this moment. This was my birth. I hadn't realized I was alive yet. I couldn't see anything, but I could hear. I heard a voice. It was small and high-pitched. It said, "Daddy, she's adorable. Can I keep her?" I wasn't sure what she was talking about, but before I could figure it out, I heard another voice. This one was much deeper and harder to understand. Then I heard a squeaking sound, then a slam. After that, it was complete silence. With all the voices gone, I didn't have much else to do, so I started feeling around. I had arms, legs, and a head. I even had hair and a dress. Well, if I had all these, maybe I had eyes too. I tried to lift my eyelids, and all of a sudden, there was a big explosion of orange light. It was almost blinding. As my eyes adjusted, I realized the light was emanating from a small spark in the distance. I noticed I was sitting in some sort of wooden rectangle. Next to it was a string tied around a long, shiny needle. That looked scary, I thought. I stood up and stepped out of the rectangle. I looked forward and noticed that the ground vanished in front of me. I walked closer and looked over it. It was disorienting, made me feel uneasy. I jumped back and crawled away. It was the first time I felt so tense. But it wouldn't be the last. I looked next to me and saw a strange creature. It was made of odd shapes and colors. It had the same clothes and body parts as I did. And even stranger, she mimicked my every move. I tilted my head, kicked a leg. What I did, she copied. However, she wasn't able to talk. Tried to have a conversation with her, but she ignored me. Eventually, I got frustrated and left her alone. As I wandered, I came across a huge, oddly shaped structure. I was able to see through it. Inside was a glowing gold substance. It resembled that spark I saw earlier. On the structure, a phrase was written. The phrase was made out of circles and squiggly lines. Essie? It seemed to say. What could it mean? I wasn't too worried about it, so I moved on. Behind the structure was an enormous square-shaped hole in the wall. Climbed up the edge and looked over it. The other side of the wall is, well, the exact opposite of the inside. Instead of a bright orange glow, it was all dark and blue. Above were thousands of tiny, glowing yellow dots, and below, giant rectangles sticking out of the ground. Seeing all this was even more disorienting than the disappearing floor. I started to feel uneasy. Then I realized I was losing my balance. I fell forward and landed in this strange brown mush. It got all in my dress and my hair. I just couldn't wipe it away. I scooped it all out of the way in an effort to escape. As I did, I noticed a green fin above me. I grabbed onto it and pulled myself up. When I looked down, I realized all the mush was inside some kind of circular-shaped contraption. I hopped down and landed next to it. I better remember to avoid these. As I looked around, I realized I couldn't go anywhere. Nowhere but these holes in the walls. I leaned off a nearby edge. This isn't a good idea. What else was I to do? I leaped forward and tried to grab an edge, but instead I slammed my face on it and fell backward. When I opened my eyes, they showed me different things. One eye showed me the stars above, and the other showed me my twin again. She was lying in a watery puddle. Coincidentally, so was I. As I got up, she mimicked me as usual. When I looked at her face, something seemed off. She was missing an eye. I looked around, trying to see if it was stuck anywhere. Eventually, I found a small orange stick with ropes inside it. It looked just like one of her eyes. Maybe I could return it to her. But when I picked it up, she disappeared. I hectically searched the area. I had to find her and return her eye. Eventually, I gave up. I fell to my knees and began crying. What if she never gets it back? What if she stays blind forever? Oh, it's all my fault. Then I heard a voice. Madame, exactly how hard did you hit your head? I looked up and saw a large creature. It had fangs and claws and yellow eyes with black fur. I would have run away screaming, but the creature seemed intriguing to me. What do you mean? I asked. Well, it replied, I saw you fall off that balcony and hit your head. Then you started running around and screaming. His words made no sense, so I asked another question. Why would hitting my head make me act different? Well, because it just does. Oh, well, that makes your reasoning all the more convincing. Now, did you happen to see a girl anywhere? A girl? Yeah, she looks kinda like me, but only with one eye. One eye, huh? He looked at the eye in my hand. Then he looked at my face. Sure. Well, when I need to find someone, I go to the highest point I can. I didn't know what a high point was or how it could help me find my twin, but what else could I do? Alright then, take me to this high point, and we shall see. The creature turned around and said, Get on my back. I slipped my twin's eye into a pocket on my dress. I slowly crawled up the creature's back and settled atop of it. Hope you're holding on tight, he said before leaping forward and running across the ground. It was bumpy and windy. It was amazing. Never felt such a rush. He hopped and climbed, and in no time we were near the sky. The stars were so beautiful, I nearly forgot why we had come here. Off in the distance, I saw another structure. It was made up of 5 legs. 4 of them were at the bottom. They all connected into one 5th leg sticking upwards towards the sky. Behind it was a glowing white crescent floating above. I reached forward and tried to grab it, but it kept escaping me. So, the creature asked, what exactly are you? I answered, I could say the same thing about you. He sighed, unable to come up with a proper answer. Then he said, Do you at least have a name? I answered again, A name? Something like that never occurred to me. Oh, I see. Would you like me to give you one? Of course. How about Emily? 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 Emily, 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 Emily. I love it. And I assume you have a name too? Of course. You can call me Hugo. Hugo. I like it. So, see your twin anywhere? No, not really. Are you sure that isn't just your own eye? My eye? How can it be my eye? I saw her lose it. Whoa, calm down. I was just asking a question. Oh, I didn't know what this was. I felt this burning desire to prove him wrong. And then this dampness weighing down on me. I could see Hugo was upset by this, so I tried to ask him something else. Do you have a twin? Well, not really. But I do have a few brothers and sisters. Oh, and parents, too. Where are they? They left, moved to America. But not me. I can't leave a place like this. Yeah, who'd want to leave a place like this? Tell me, Emily, do you have any other family aside from this twin? Other family? I don't remember having a family. I don't even know where I came from. Realizing this had a bigger impact on me than I thought. Where did I come from? Why was I here? I was going into some kind of, I don't know, panic. Hugo took notice of this. Are you okay? I gasped, unable to respond. Try to calm down. Slow your breathing. I closed my eyes, tried to stay still. He spoke to me as I breathed, in and out. In and out. Breathe. I could feel the pain beginning to soften. I touched my face and felt liquid leaking down my cheek. Better now? Hugo asked. I think so, I responded. Hugo paused for a moment. Hey, Emily, it's getting late. What do you say we hit the sack and tomorrow morning we can look for your sister then, okay? Okay, I said. But just a small request. Can we not look for her every day, now that you're going to stay with me? I looked back at him and asked, Stay with you? What do you mean? He laughed and said, Us loners gotta stick together. I laughed as well, and felt a caring warmth inside me. We found a spot by an alleyway where no one would be able to disturb us. Hugo curled into a ball, and I laid down next to him. I wasn't sure what the future would hold for us, but whatever it was, at least I wasn't alone. Years went by. Hugo and I searched all over France, but to no luck. I saw so many unique places. I tasted, I laughed, I cried. I felt so many new feelings I never knew I could feel before. But I never, ever forgot about my sister. No matter what happened, I needed to find my family. Hugo never backed out of helping me look. After all, he always loved a good adventure. But as time went on, he started getting slower. I awoke one morning, laying on a cold November street. Snow was evenly spread out across the ground. I had a thin rag wrapped around me. It was my only source of comfort. I slowly got to my legs. The strings on my body felt looser than ever. My hair felt in front of my face, reminding me of its faded color. I turned around and looked at Hugo, who was lying asleep next to me. He was skinnier and bonier than when I first met him. His black fur had grown to a dark gray. Some of his whiskers were missing, and he had bite marks and scratches all over his body. His energetic, happy-go-lucky personality was gone. I shoved his head. Hugo. I shoved his head again. Hugo, get up. He groaned. 5 more minutes. I continued shoving. I said 5 more minutes. Hugo, please. We need to look for my sister. He groaned again, this time even more impatient. Oh my God. He slowly got up. I said to him, We have to look for her, please. He just sat there shaking his head. When will you grow up? What? We won't find her.
She doesn't exist.
Hugo, what are you?
She's just your reflection. You've been carrying around your own eye.
That that couldn't be true. It just couldn't. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the eye. As I held it, I realized that my view was distorted.
The only reason I kept lying to you was because I didn't want to hurt your feelings. But it's time you knew the truth, kiddo.
No, you're my best friend. You wouldn't lie to me. I do have a sister. I threw the eye forward, then turned and ran. I could hear Hugo calling for me, but I ignored it. I ran into the street. Automobiles zoomed across the road. I jumped out of the way of giant wheels. One of them almost cut me in half. I stopped and waited for the traffic to cool down. I scurried across the road once I had the chance. I found a long, dark alleyway to hide in. How can this be? All those years he never told me the truth. Why? Then I heard a voice. Please, don't cry. I looked around and noticed a large black silhouette. It was huge and had many odd limbs. It spoke again. Don't be afraid, my child. I won't hurt you. He threw forward a small orange disc. It was my eye. I believe you dropped this. You can keep it. I don't want it anymore. It slowly emerged from the shadows. It was white and fluffy. Its eyes were orange buttons just like mine. It had a black top hat and a purple bow tie. Several large, red, veiny tendrils protruded from its body. Are you my family? The creature responded. Not exactly. He sat down next to me. This world can be very cruel. Yes, it can. Does it hurt? Yes, it does. I can make it all go away. You can? How? With magic, but it'll only work if your eyes are closed. I slowly closed my eyelids. It was dead silence. I started to reflect on all my memories with Hugo. They made me feel warm. When I thought of his betrayal, it burned me. Was he my friend or my enemy? Didn't make any sense, but I can't just abandon him. Leaving him in the cold like that? It wasn't right. No, I don't want this. I have to find him. I opened my eyes, but before I could move, a long, sharp talon stabbed through my body. A gold ichor leaked out of my wound. It looked familiar, but I couldn't tell where. I looked up and saw the creature above me. He had tears in his eyes. He whispered, I'm sorry, my daughter, but I had to. You weren't like the others.